Guest characters used to be a bonus. Now, they're one of the main reasons why Mortal Kombat even goes viral and people buy Mortal Kombat. And if the next game, whatever comes after Mortal Kombat 1, gets this wrong, it could seriously hurt the hype of the DLC following the game. Because at this point, guest characters don't add to the game, they sort of define it in a way. And I know I made a previous video speaking badly about guest characters, but you can't lie. A lot of people do buy Mortal Kombat because of guest characters, and they do sell to the virability of the game. But if you guys don't know me by now, I'm Mr. Frosty Flames, but you can call me Mike. We do anything gaming news, reviews, analysis, playthroughs, commentaries, etc, etc, and we do it in a chill way with no over editing BS. So if you love these Mortal Kombat analysis videos or just analysis videos in general, please make sure to hit that sub button and join the Frosty Flames Legion. We're almost at 1700 subs. I can't believe it, man. We're moving so fast. So if you could ever be so kind, please enlist today and join the Frosty Flames Legion. Anyways, back to the video. So throughout Mortal Kombat's history, we had some incredible guest fighters over the years. Some felt perfect, like they belonged in Mortal Kombat, and others, they felt like they were just there for marketing. And if you haven't seen my previous guest characters video, this is basically a summary of where I stand. I just feel like there are a lot of guest characters in Mortal Kombat that are there only to make money for NRS. Obviously that's good for NRS and it's good for the viability of the game, but they just don't fit the tone of Mortal Kombat. And some examples would be like the guest characters in MK1. Now I loved the brutal superhero vibe of Omni-Man and Homelander, they were awesome. But the other ones, I felt like they didn't really fit the theme. If you looked at the previous MK games, the guest characters always sort of like fit the theme of the game. Like MK11 was sort of like action-y with the special forces. So who did they have as the guest characters? They had like 80s action heroes, you know, plus like Spawn and obviously Joker, because they also have the Injustice, right, which makes sense. And then if you look at MKX, that game was dark and gritty, and they had horror characters, which did make sense. But for Mortal Kombat 13, let's talk about guest characters that actually make sense. I want characters that fit the tone, bring unique gameplay, and would genuinely make people excited. Obviously, I don't know what the tone is for the game that's obviously going to come out, or what the vision is for the game, so I can't give specific examples, but I just want to give like a wish list of characters that I think would be good in MK, or some themes that they haven't explored yet. And before we get into picks, we need to define what makes a guest character work, because not every popular character fits Mortal Kombat. There are three things that every guest character needs, in my opinion. One, they need to match the tone. Mortal Kombat, in my opinion, is best when it's brutal, dark, and even violent. Of course, that's the identity of Mortal Kombat, so they need to match that. They need gameplay identity. They can't just be like another fighter. They can't match or be a clone of another Mortal Kombat fighter. They need a unique style, and they need presence. When you see them, you instantly know who they are. And if a character doesn't hit all three of these things, I feel like they're just a filler. And now characters that instantly match the tone of Mortal Kombat are obviously horror characters, because they actually fit, because they're violent, they're dark, they're gritty, and Mortal Kombat and horror just go hand in hand. That's why some of the best characters come from that space. If you're looking at like MKX, I feel like that game had some of the best guest characters to even come out, even in MK9, with Kratos being a violent dude and Freddy Krueger. But instead of repeating the same picks, we need like other characters to push it farther. And that's why my first pick is actually gonna go to Pennywise. And it's not just for the visuals, but for the gameplay potential. Like imagine like illusion based attacks, or like you have like a fear mechanic and unpredictable movement. Like, you know how in the movie he does all this weird stuff, like where he's like hopping around and he's opening his mouth and there's mouths inside the mouths and stuff. Like imagine the fatality potential, the brutality potential, even whatever other things come into the game, friendships, like they need to bring that back, I believe. And that would be awesome for Pennywise. He could be so awesome. Like he could be like an illusionist horror character, which could be good. And even other characters like maybe Art the Clown from the Terrifier, he could be like that chaos character. Something like Leatherface in MKX, someone that's just brutal, pure chaos, no rules, and just unsettling energy. And these kind of characters don't just fit Mortal Kombat, they enhance what it already is. And that's why these horror characters are my top two for ones to come in the next game. And another one would be Michael Myers. He's a very, very instant popular, everybody recognizes him immediately. And I know a lot of people wanted him. So if they want to go for that slasher archetype, something like Jason, they could easily just go for that Michael Myers pick. And I don't think I would have a problem or anyone else would have a problem with it. And this is where things will get interesting. I want Mortal Kombat to go into the direction of themes of video game characters, because when they're done right, they don't feel like guests. They feel like they've always been there. And I'm talking characters like Doomslayer, characters like Leon S. Kennedy, because Resident Evil is popular, and obviously they like to go with what's popular at the time. He would fit right in because these characters already live in violent worlds. Characters like Isaac Clarke from Dead Space, characters like Sweet Tooth from Twisted Metal, characters like Albert Wesker if they're gonna go Resident Evil again, another one being Dante from Devil May Cry, another one being Ezio from Assassin's Creed. Now all these characters, they already fight, survive, and adapt, and more importantly, they each bring a completely different playstyle. Say like Doomslayer could be pure aggression, Leon would be tactical and reactive, and that's what makes these picks strong. They just don't look cool, they change how the game is played, and they're instantly recognizable by video game fans, because Mortal Kombat is a video game. And also, Mortal Kombat has always had ties to comic book worlds, but not every superhero fits. It always needs to have that sort of darker tone superhero, someone that isn't afraid to be brutal. That's why they picked Joker before, that's why they picked Peacemaker. And you know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see characters maybe like the Batman who laughs, like another version of the Joker. But I understand if you're against it because it's, basically like another Joker, right? A overpowered Joker. But if you're not going to do that, I want to see characters like maybe John Constantine, or maybe someone like Harley Quinn. Someone, or practically anyone from the Suicide Squad could technically work, right? Because they're all villains, they're all bad characters. And hear me out, this is a stretch, but if they were ever to do a Marvel character, I would love to see the Punisher, Daredevil, or even Ghost Rider in the game. I doubt that they'll ever do that, but a man could dream, you know what I mean? Because these aren't your typical heroes. They operate in morally gray spaces, and that's exactly where Mortal Kombat thrives. Ghost Rider, say he was in the game, he could have, chain-based combat, fire mechanics, and some of the craziest fatalities imaginable, only if Marvel, Disney would let us, right? These characters feel less like crossovers and more like extensions of the MK universe. And also, here are some wildcard picks that I'd like. What if they had like a theme of mythological figures? Like they had like an evil Krampus or something. Or what if they do twisted takes on fairy tale characters? Because Warner Bros has The Wolf Among Us, that Telltale game where it has like a dark take on fairy tales. They could easily add like Bigby Wolf. He would be like a Wolverine type character, right? Or they could completely reimagine dark icons, because the best guest characters aren't always obvious. Sometimes they're unexpected picks, but they're still perfect because they work. Because Mortal Kombat isn't just about realism, it's about style. And if a character has a strong enough identity, they could work. But here's the reality. Guest characters are no longer just DLC. They drive hype, marketing, and long-term interest in games like Mortal Kombat 1. Guest characters often keep the game alive months after launch, and I know a lot of people don't like them. I think, in my opinion, they could be replaced by actual Mortal Kombat characters. But, this is NRS we're talking about. They already went in the guest character culture, so we're going to get them. So if we're going to get them, might as well talk about which ones we want to get, right? So at the end of the day, Mortal Kombat doesn't need guest characters to be good, but it needs them probably to stay exciting for long-term marketing, because the right guest character isn't just another fighter, it's a moment, it's hype, it keeps the game alive, and it's the reason why people on Instagram, on YouTube, on Twitter, they all go on Instagram and be like, hey, did you see that character in Mortal Kombat? That's why things around Mortal Kombat still become trending, because of these guest characters. and the hype that they bring. And if Mortal Kombat 13 gets this right, the guest roster might be the best part of the entire game. People might love it, but that's just my take on it. Let me know which guest characters you want down below. Do you agree with my picks? Do you disagree? Obviously, they're not going to do all of them that I said. I would like a couple of them at least in my perfect world. But anyways, comment down below what you want, and make sure you like, subscribe, share, and join the Mr. Frosty Flames Legion. You guys have a good one. Thank you all for watching. Mr. Frosty Flames out. Ciao.